And now your Halloween is complete, that I've spooked you with bad English, Ghost in Your Heart. And for those of you that think that song isn't heavy enough, I'm like Eric Cartman. I do what I want. Speaking of doing what I want, rather than a 2-hour heavy metal show, I got a 90-minute heavy metal show and then some talk about wrestling.
Your insubordination will not be tolerated.
You know, since I do heavy metal and then I do a little bit of wrestling talk, what I really should do is have an extra long show, maybe 3 hours, where then I talk about horror movies, because that's my other vice, and maybe comics, because while I'm playing heavy metal, I'm also sitting here reading Exo Manowar and Batman Detective, and what else was in my bag that I didn't get to? Spider-Man, Outcast, The Flash, all sorts of good stuff. And then math. I'm preparing my math class for this week while I'm in here too. I got my college algebra and trigonometry textbook, and I'm selecting problems to give to the kiddos. So yeah, I've got all 5 of those vices that are sure to turn off listeners. So I could start with heavy metal and then hear the clicks in the background. Then a few people might be left, and then I'll talk wrestling and click, click. There go a few more people. Then by the time I'm done talking horror, comics, and math, man, I would have all the airways to myself. And that would be beautiful. That would not be beautiful. We like listeners here at WVLP. We like listeners that help support the station too. And coming up in a few weeks, you're going to hear us talking about ways that you can help support the station. And yes, I'm talking about financially. But that's for another time. Right now, it is the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. And I don't have a special guest in the studio tonight. I'll see what I can do for next week, but for now it's just me, and I want to do 2 things for you. One is run down some shows that are coming up and some of the matches that might be on those shows, so that those of you that have listened before might recognize some names of people that appear around here pretty frequently. There's a couple of cards coming up within a reasonable drive of Valpo where there's not only regional people that you may have heard of, but folks that have been on the national scene making appearances, and I'll let you know about those. And then I want to talk about a benefit show coming up in a couple of weeks. Talked about it a little bit last week on the show. It's the ACW John Hendel Benefit Show, and I'm going to be there. It's for a good cause. It's going to be in a couple of weeks, and there's a little war of words brewing between the 2 main eventers, and so I'm going to play you what they've been saying towards each other over the interwebs. But before we get there, I'm going to save that for the main event of this show, in fact. I just want to point out a few shows coming up. Saturday, November 4th, and that's, oh my gosh, that's already next weekend. It's going to be November. And next weekend is also the beginning of daylight savings time. So not only do we change our clocks, but we also get to go see ARW Pro. Now, they're doing a fundraiser for Gavitt High School in Hammond, Indiana for their athletics program. And I believe this show will be special to a couple of folks on the roster of ARW Pro because they went to Gavitt, including Moxie Molly and one of the 2 guys in the picture show tag team, Marcus Portrait or Johnny Showtime. And I'm embarrassed that I'm drawing a blank as to which one it was that I saw mentioned in a promo video for this event. But they will have a particularly good reason to make sure the show is good and draws some support for this fundraiser. It's going to be, again, 7:30 p.m. next Saturday, November 4th, Gavitt High School in Hammond, Indiana. Here are some of the matches that are on the card. There will be others, but these are the ones that I could dig up on Facebook so far. Nick Cutler versus Anthony Toatelli. Moxie Molly, friend of the show, who was here just a few weeks ago to say hi to everybody. She'll be taking on Renee Van Peebles for the 2nd time in a couple of months. The first time the match was marred by the shenanigans of Chaz Moretti, the agent or manager of Renee Van Peebles. And then there will be a tag team match for the ARW Pro Tag Team Championship. Aggravated Assault, which is the team of BOW and Punisher 747, versus the awkward tag team of Rough Holiday, which is the tag team of Max Holiday and Rough Crossing, who themselves have feuded over the ARW singles title recently, but they've been put together as a pair to take on Aggravated Assault, and we'll see if they can get along long enough to get that job done. Again, there will be other matches, obviously, but those are the three that I've seen publicized enough that I could actually catch them and write them down. Saturday, November 11th, you're going to have a choice if you want to drive a ways to see some wrestling. There's two relatively big shows, both on the same night, which is unfortunate because you do have to make this choice. One of them is going to be in South Bend at the Century Center, and this is a combined show by EHF Entertainment, PWK, Pro Wrestling King, and POG Wrestling, who mostly operates, I think they're kind of a south central and south and southwest Michigan promotion. PWK is all over north central Indiana. EHF is in southern Michigan, northwest Indiana. Their event is called Stack the Deck, and all three organizations are coming together to help put on the show, so it's going to be a long one, I bet. And some of the big names coming along are Jake the Snake Roberts. He will be there for signings. He's not going to wrestle, I don't think, but to make an appearance and give some signings and say howdy to everybody. Crazy Steve from, well, I don't know, do you call it TNA? Do you call it Impact? You can't call it Global Force Wrestling. It's just those guys in Tennessee that wrestle on TV. That's what I'm going to call them now. Crazy Steve will be there. Joey Ryan and Shark Boy on hand as well. Some of the matches listed so far are the EHF Championship will be settled with a 6-man match with Sedan, the champion, against Dollar, Crazy Steve, Steven Drochner, Jared Kripke, and D.W. Kelly. And another match, and I think it's Shark Boy against, now I'm drawing a blank, and I know I've seen the card on Facebook, or the little image that shows this pairing, and I didn't write it down, and I'm drawing a blank now, so I'm just gonna move along here. But that show is going to be a big one, lots of matches and some famous people showing up. Now, also on Saturday, November 11th, Heroes and Legends 9. This is a show that comes up a couple of times a year. It's going to be in Fort Wayne at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. There's a fan fest at 2 o'clock, meaning you can, get autographs and pictures and buy merch and spend money. And then at 7 o'clock at night, the main card. Here are some of the names of people being brought in for that show. Jack Swagger, The Patriot, The Killer Bees, Too Cold Scorpio, Typhoon, Swoggle, Vader, Al Snow, Sunny, and EC3. Some of the matches on the card itself, there's going to be a 6-man elimination cage match for the Heroes and Legends Championship. Drew Skills is currently the champion, and he will be defending against Congo Kong, Shane Mercer, Isaiah, and Lightning Bolt Johnson. Now it's a 6-man elimination cage match, and I just gave 5 names. What's wrong with that picture? Probably my mistake. I probably missed one when I was writing these down. So it's a surprise. It'll be a nice surprise for all of us. The Heroes and Legends Cruiserweight Championship, Sugar Dunkerton, the champion, will take on Too Cold Scorpio. The Heroes and Legends Women's Championship will be on the line. Hardcore Heather Owens is the champion, and she will be taking on Amazing Maria James. And other matches, Super Crazy versus Scotty Young. A 6-man tag, Kikitaro. Now, he's the guy with the really weird, spooky mask that freaks me the heck out. Him, Dasher Hatfield, and Swoggle will be taking on Team Legendary, Alexander S. Kirk and Matt O'Hare, teaming up with Eli McFly. And what costume will Eli McFly wear? You will have to go there and find out. You can find out more information about this card at heroesandlegendswrestling.com. Just all one word, no dashes or anything like that. Sunday, November 12th is the ACW show coming up that I'm about to mention, so I'm just going to skip over that for now. Saturday, November 18th, FWF, Functified Wrestling Federation, has a show called Aftershock. This is at the Center Lake Pavilion in Warsaw, Indiana. Congo Kong versus Officer Rod Street, JD Smooth versus Cosmo, Lightning Bolt Johnson versus Drax O'Brien, Cletus versus Jackie Chen, and other matches that I do not know about yet. On Wednesday, November 22nd, ARW Pro is back in action with Black and Blue Wednesday at American Legion 100 in Lake Station. That's the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. And it's an annual thing for them. I was there at that show last year. It's a good way to kick off the holidays by watching some people beat each other up. And December 1st, Black Label Pro with a show called First of the Month. The is THA, of course. And this will contain, I believe, the finals of the Darkest Timeline Championship Tournament, which has been going on for their past two shows. There have been tournament rounds leading to the grand finale coming up on this December 1st program. Now, that's a Sunday, so this is interesting because Black Label Pro is newly operating in Crown Point at the On the Square Sports Academy. It is a fantastic venue to see a wrestling show. Really neat place. And they've had shows on Saturday, Friday, and now Sunday. And I don't know if that was intentional, and they're trying to see which day is the best, but hey, it's working out. They've been drawing really good crowds, and so I hope that they are able to stick around and keep the momentum going, because Northwest Indiana has lost a couple of promotions, at least temporarily. So Fire Pro Wrestling, that you've heard me talk about before, they've kind of pulled up stakes for at least a little while until next year, perhaps earlier mid next year. They've been running at Impact Christian Church in Merrillville, and hopefully they will make a comeback and start putting on some more shows in 2018, but who knows where. And Smash Mouth Pro Wrestling, which is operated here in Valpo, they've pulled up stakes as well. No more shows at Inman's, and as far as I know, no more shows planned for the future, although that option is still there. So it looks like in the Northwest Indiana region, we have ARW Pro hanging strong, Black Label Pro getting up and running and doing some good work, bringing in some people from outside that have not appeared at some of these other promotions. It is a totally different environment and a totally different wrestling experience with the folks that they're bringing in. Very unique so far. And Backbreaker Wrestling, they've had one show in Griffith a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was October 14th. One of those days where there was like three different matches to pick from, or three different cards to pick from. Hopefully they are up and running and can also keep some wrestling going on in the Northwest Indiana region. Now, I don't know if Wheatfield and the Kankakee Valley area is Northwest Indiana, but it's certainly north central, northwest-ish. It's certainly more northwest than Indianapolis, I suppose. Sunday, November 12th. Let's talk about this show. That's going to be Sunday, November 12th, 2 o'clock Central. Acme Championship Wrestling, the John Hendel Benefit Show. So it's a benefit show to support the family of someone who is undergoing cancer treatment, I believe. And this will be at Kankakee Valley High School. It's being kind of put on by close friends and relatives of the family who have obviously a very vested interest in hoping that this show goes well. And some of the matches that have been announced for the show are Johnny Motley versus Flawless Dave Allen. Now, Flawless Dave Allen, I hope he doesn't mind I mention this on the air. It's been on Facebook, so it's kind of public news, but he's a new dad. So let's hope that in a couple of weeks he's ready. He's gotten a couple hours of sleep, and he's ready to get back in the ring. But for now, Johnny Motley versus Flawless Dave Allen are on the card. Cliff Caviar and TK0, both who have been in the studio, and TK0 very recently, last week in fact, they'll be taking on Top Guns. And the main event of the show is Tristan Hayes versus Jeremy Hadley. And this is where I went to spend the rest of the time here on the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program, because they've had some words. So Facebook is a thing, right? And you can put videos on Facebook. And so Jeremy Hadley put up a video because he and Tristan Hayes have been around these circuits for quite a while, but maybe they've never had a big high-profile match together, or maybe any match at all. And so Jeremy Hadley decided to have something to say to Tristan Hayes about this match of theirs, and this is what he said.
Yes. Everyone's heard right. Sunday, November 12th. The Warfare Jeremy Hadley for the first time ever, goes one-on-one with Tristan Hayes. You know, truth is, for the longest time, I always had nothing but respect for Tristan Hayes. Except for the fact that, yes, this is the first time we are ever going one-on-one. But trust me, it hasn't been for lack of trying on my end. Fact is, Tristan, you've been dodging me for years. Because as good as you are, you ain't me. As good as you are, you know you're not great. So I'll tell you this. Sunday, November 12th, KV High School. Guess what? You may have been in this business longer, but it's fitting that at the KV High School, I'm gonna teach you a lesson.
So that's what Jeremy Hadley had to say to Tristan Hayes, and Tristan Hayes was not amused, and so he fired back with this.
Sunday, November 12th, for the first time ever. Good Lord, man, are you all right? Like, do you have laryngitis, or are you just trying to poorly impersonate Triple H? Like, what's going on there? I know you personally. You don't talk like that. That's why I'm kind of confused. And what's this whole "you used to have respect for me" thing? I'm Tristan Hayes, man. You know me. Nobody respects Tristan Hayes. That's why Chase Richards called me the Human Heat Machine. It's not just a nickname. It's kind of a way of life, man. And you've been chasing me for years, trying to get a one-on-one match together. I don't know how you do that, man. It makes my throat itchy. But this one-on-one match that you think I've been ducking for years? No, I've been ducking. I just don't care. You see, I'm a professional. If there's no money in it, I'm not interested. And there's never been money in a match with you and I one-on-one. So why now? Because it's for charity, a very noble cause. Only one more noble is true love. So Jeremy Hadley, I get it. You're a short little man. You're angry. You say I'm not good. I'm not Jeremy Hadley. Well, you're right. I'm not good. I'm amazing. It's great to be me. And I'm not Jeremy Hadley. I'm like a foot taller than you, dude. And people actually pay money to see me wrestle. I mean, that's... Plus, I can talk on the microphone. Like, I don't know what your problem is, but you can't hold a candle to what I can do outside of the ring. Because every single time you get burned. So you might want to focus on what's going on inside the ring November 12th, because it's the only place you stand a chance. And this super kick that you think is so weak, it's all right. Once it's against your chin, we see how long you think it's weak for. Don't worry. Someone will wake you up and tell you how the match ended.
Not one to let Tristan Hayes have the last word, Jeremy Hadley fired back with this.
So Tristan Hayes, he wants to fire some shots. Fair enough. Says, I poorly impersonate Triple H. Isn't that kind of the pot calling the kettle black? Doot, 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 P.S. Hayes. But you know what? I'm going to leave that one be. I'm not going to address that. I'm not going to address the fact that you're a very, very cheap man's poor excuse for an impersonation of Shawn Michaels. I'm not going to address that. I'm not going to address that you made a comment about me being very short, but you left out the fact that when it comes to physique, you are the epitome of what a dad bod is, and you shouldn't be in a wrestling ring. You should be sitting on a couch. You know what, though? I'm not going to address that. No. Because the fact is, none of that matters. You know what does matter? 10 years ago, I walked into a Fire Pro Wrestling locker room. And I knew a few people in there. But I didn't know a whole lot. Tristan Hayes was the first guy to just welcome me in with open arms, not knowing who I am. And that's the thing, Tristan. You said nobody respects you. A lot of us respect you. We just don't like you. There's a big difference. But see, for years, I've known you are the pro wrestling Midwest measuring stick. And that's fine, because you say fans pay to see you and don't pay to see me. Okay. You know what? Let's say you're right. You want to know what I'm right about? Promoters pay me to be on their show while they would rather pay you to sit at home. Because nobody wants to deal with you. So I'll say this. November 12th, KV School. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna deal with you. And here's the thing you need to know. Sometimes measuring sticks, they get outdated, which is exactly what you are. So on November 12th, that measuring stick, you're looking at the new and improved one.
So again, that's Jeremy Hadley talking at Tristan Hayes about their match coming up at the ACW show on November 12th. And after that, you expect Tristan Hayes to fire back another video, but a couple of days go by and nothing comes out there. So Hadley starts to gloat a little bit that maybe he's shut down Tristan Hayes, and so Jeremy Hadley released another video directed at Tristan Hayes, and it's fun to watch these videos. These are videos on Facebook. I'm just capturing the audio and sharing it here, but each of the three is from a totally different location, so there's something totally different in the background each time. So Jeremy gets around. But this is what he had to say to Tristan Hayes again after Tristan Hayes' silence.
I've never heard silence quite this loud. What's the matter, Tristan? Haven't had anything to say. Cat got your tongue? Maybe your dad bod? Got a little too comfortable on the couch? Couldn't reach over, grab your phone, say a couple words? It's perfectly fine. You're free as a bird to make that decision. But you know what? I'm not here to make jokes. Because the fact is, Tristan, I know you're not a joke. And underneath it all, you know I'm not a joke. I'm here to prove that. See, Tristan, you are the longest reigning Fire Pro Wrestling Sorry? You're the second longest reigning Fire Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion in company history. Behind me. So you go ahead. You keep making your jokes. You keep thinking you can take me lightly. But I'm gonna make this perfectly clear. November 12th, KV High School, Wheatfield, Indiana. I'm coming to collect my respect. You can give it to me, or I will beat you within an inch of your life and take it.
At this point, Jeremy Hadley is winning 3-1 in the category of videos directed at an opponent for this particular show, but Tristan Hayes gets back in the game with this video just released today. This is hot off the presses here on WVLP. Well, also on Facebook, but, you know, they're not important.
Oh, I'm safe on my couch where I belong. Whew. Last thing I remember, I put in a DVD of Jeremy Hadley matches to study him. And a week later, I wake up here. It's like I went into a coma or something. Oh, there's my glasses so I can see again. Oh, hi everybody on the World Wide Web. How are you? You know, I heard there was some thunderous silence recently. Apparently it was because I hadn't responded to Jeremy Hadley, and I just thought it was him having sex. You know, I've been told that Mr. Hadley has made some claims about me being a poor man's Michael Hayes and a second-rate Shawn Michaels, and the fact that I'm the second longest reigning champion in Fire Pro history. Well, let me clarify some things for you, Jeremy, because, I mean, you're an intelligent individual, or at least I think so, but you've gotten some things wrong, so let me help you. I'm not a Michael Hayes ripoff. I am an actual free bird. I'm a part of a legacy that started in 1979, and I was blessed in by Mr. Buddy Jack Roberts before his passing. I was invited in and welcomed into the family by the Gordys themselves. I'm the real deal. And as far as being a poor man's Shawn Michaels, no, that's Steve Boz's gimmick, and I don't steal other people's gimmicks. My super kick is tremendous. His is getting there. He'll be a first-rate Shawn Michaels wannabe someday. And I believe in you, Steve, so you stick with that. But as far as Fire Pro Wrestling goes, well, let's see. Yes, I do believe you are the longest reigning champion in Fire Pro history. Good for you. Good for you. I have a few Fire Pro accomplishments that I'm not hung up on, unlike some people, but I mean, I was the first ever Fire Pro Cruiserweight champion, first ever Fire Pro 24/7 Hard Target champion, first ever Fire Pro Impact champion, first ever Fire Pro Grand Slam champion, and I have won every championship the company has ever had. And I did it all without kissing the ass of a yellow feathered midget. Would you believe you can have success without doing so? Who'd have thunk it? It's okay, Jeremy. You want to talk about respect. You want to talk about dad bods. You want to talk about boredom. You want to talk about who's who and who does what. Well, I'll help you out with that. Because November 12th, we're going to step in the ring for charity. But the only thing that's going to be charitable is the ass whooping I deliver to you. Now I know, I shouldn't cuss. Maybe I should have said tushy. Maybe I should have said booty. But eventually, you're just going to have to live with the fact that that's what's going to happen. You and I are going to get in the ring. You're going to be embarrassed, just like you normally are in your real life. And you're going to live with it. You're going to move on, and you're going to be better and better and better. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go deal with some bookings because I'm going back to Texas soon, and I've been invited to Japan. Have you ever left the Midwest? You should try it. There's a whole new world out there. You'd love it, if they'll have you. Bye, Jeremy. See you soon.
So that's Tristan Hayes talking towards Jeremy Hadley in relation to their main event bout at the ACW John Hendel Benefit Show coming up on November 12th. I'm out of time, so we'll talk more about that show next week. Next weekend is the last weekend before that event, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when this particular battle moves off of Facebook and into the ring. So I'm Ken the Metal Professor. Thanks for listening to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program on WVLP. I'd originally hoped to go back and play a little bit more Halloween heavy metal in the form of either Fear of the Dark or Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, but no more time, and that's what Spotify is for. So go out there and listen to some Maiden, and I will talk to you next week.